Ladies, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Dr. Tyrone Stevenson, a decorated service member, senior pastor of Hope City Church, and a sought-after speaker on the topic of fatherlessness with his passion for people and equality. Dr. Stevenson has worked with a coalition of leaders in securing $500 million for repairs to the New York City Housing Authority. His expertise and commitment to community involvement extend to serving as treasurer of the 81-unit Redwood Senior Housing and sitting on the board of several Brooklyn apartment complexes as an Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Fellow with a Master of Divinity and Doctor of Ministry from New York Theological Seminary. Dr. Stevenson is equipped to guide us on a journey of emotional healing and dealing with fatherlessness pain in his session, Become What You Did Not See. So buckle up and get ready to be inspired as Dr. Stevenson shares his insights on this life-changing topic.
Greetings, and good afternoon, Juneteenth family. Welcome to another weekly edition of our Luncheon Line.
E is exhaling, having an opportunity to breathe, to rest, to refill yourself and rejuvenate yourself, because no one can pour from an empty cup.
As you evolve and become more of yourself, you begin to attract the people that are there for you.
Amen.
So everything you need is in this space.
You have to learn from your mistakes. Once you make a mistake, sit down, recoup, and then start over. And once you do that, you say, I got that.
See, Juneteenth means to me, I would definitely say empowerment and education.
When I experience it, like just coming together and, being a part of something bigger than myself, and
A new start, starting a new chapter, opportunity, new beginnings, all of that.
Hi, Dr. Stevenson. Can you please tell us about yourself? A brief description about what you do?
Yeah, Tyrone Stevenson is my name. I'm the senior pastor of Hope City Church. One church. We have two locations. One is in our main campus, is East New York, Brooklyn, the corner of New Lots in Pennsylvania. And we have a campus in Baldwin, Long Island, here both in New York. I've been married for 30 years. I have three amazing children. Imani, who is 28, Hannah is 25, and Tyrone Jr., my son, is 15. And he reminds me he'll be 16 in just 2 months. So that's who we are. Our church is a church heavily committed to the community and to the work of the community and making sure the community is built and good. I'm the author of a book, The Day My Daddy Died, which really deals with the issue of fatherlessness. It was something that I wrote really to as a cathartic thing for myself, which has helped a lot of people.
Speaking of your book and, its topic about fatherlessness, can you share with us your personal experience of growing up without a father and how it has affected your life?
The effect is across the board in every area. I know that culture today tries to pretend like fathers are not necessary. It is the furthest thing from the truth. It affects every area of your life. My father, lived in New York. I knew who my father was, but there was no relationship. He didn't live with us or anything like that. There was no relationship. I don't remember having a sit-down conversation with my father about almost anything in my definitely in my childhood, teenage years, or anything like that. And so it's affected everything. I was a wild kid, though I grew up in church. I grew up in church, and during that time was fine. But at 17, I made the decision to get away from everybody, and I went into the military. And boy, oh boy, on my own, by myself, I'm in control of everything. I make my own decisions, and I had no model of what a man should look like in that respect. So yeah, I kind of what I call went off the deep end in a lot of areas. So the effect is in every area. It really is.
What role can the community, schools, and religious institutions play in supporting individuals and families affected by fatherlessness? Well,
the roles that we can play are almost endless. There's so many things that we can do, and many of them, this is the amazing thing, many of them don't cost money. So the excuse more people give, we don't have money for this, we don't have money for that. The biggest thing that my father could have given me, had he known or cared to do it, would have been time. I never wanted things in that way. If he just sat with me and talked to me, if he taught me how to tie a tie, he did none of those things. So those are the things that I think we can make a huge difference in. Men just being in the school, and it's so difficult now with the Board of Education, the way it is, and I understand how things are and trying to keep children safe. I get it, I understand. But just the idea of men in the school building, men in the classroom, men there if a young person wants to talk about something that's happening in school. I think it just makes a huge, huge difference. The church, the role the church could play could be a game changer, to be honest. Because one, we have space. In many cases, churches have space. After school programs are being cut left, right, and center. Just giving a space for young people to be and making that space safe for them. Opportunities for maybe group conversations, even group therapy, where they don't even know it, they're receiving it, but they're in a group talking, and the person who's leading the conversation is versed in these things, and they can help them make better decisions. There's so many things that I did foolishly because I didn't know how to make decisions. In many cases, one of the things we do, especially in the African American community, when there's not a father in the home, then the mother makes all the decision for the children. The problem is then children never grow up learning how to make decisions. And so I made a lot of poor decisions simply because I didn't know how to make decisions. So just things like that. Asking kids, a young man or young woman as a man, say, so tell me why you did that. Not that it was wrong. I'm not going to tell you what you did was wrong. Why did you tell me why you did it? Because if I understand why you did it, I know how to help you to grow. Yeah. And so those are just quick things that we can do to make a difference. That make significant differences, actually.
How does the absence of a father figure impact a child's emotional and psychological well-being?
The absence of a father, the impact on a child's emotional, it's significant. It's where we learn a different way to deal with our emotions. When I'm with my son, I'm very different with my son than I am with my daughters. I love them differently because they need different things. My daughters love the hugging. They love the ribbing with them. They love that. My son more prefers that I hug him a certain way, like this bro thing. And he prefers our conversations to be different. And so those emotional needs, if I tried to do it any other way, I think I'd be hurting both of him or my daughters. The needs of a child for their father is great. And I think because we have little control over it as people, when a father is not there, we try to downplay it as not important. And that is one of the biggest mistakes we can make. It's significant. I psychologically had to deal with the question constantly, why doesn't my father want me? Why doesn't he love me? And so with that comes, well, maybe if I do this. So there's this performance thing that builds up. Now, on the one hand, it has helped me to succeed in every area that I've worked. When I was in the military, I was successful. I left the military, went into, worked at a law firm for a period of time. I thought I wanted to be a lawyer. I was successful there. Then I became a banker, very, very successful. A pastor, I think we've had plenty of success in that area because it has driven me. But that drive is almost relentless because even now as a 54-year-old man, I have to catch myself because I'm saying to myself, well, maybe if I just do more of this, I can get that person to see what we're trying to do if I do more. And that's back to the realities of my fatherlessness, me trying to get him to see me. And so I have to catch myself. I have to stop myself. And that is, as a 54-year-old man, can you imagine how I was at 12, how I was at 15, 17, 21, the ages where a boy, specifically a boy, needs his father's shaping for the man he will become. And it wasn't there. And as a child, I blamed myself. I have a friend who is a psychotherapist, and he says this, Richard says this. He says, the legitimate unmet needs of a child become the agenda of the adult. And that thing has stuck with me. He told me this, oh my goodness, years and years ago. He said, every legitimate need that a child has that's not met, as they become an adult, it becomes the agenda of the adult to get that need met. And that's where the problem often comes in. And so it's extremely important. And it can be done not just with a father, but there can be a father figure. Because in some cases, fatherlessness is because dad has died. He had no control over that. But that father figure is still necessary. Sometimes dad is present in the home, but absent in every other way. That's still fatherlessness. So there needs to be a father figure. And so the impact is tremendous. I think it can absolutely be overcome. I'm a witness to it, but it's a fight. It's an absolute fight.
What are the key takeaways and actionable steps that individuals can implement to move towards healing and wholeness in the face of fatherlessness?
I think some of the key takeaways are, one, to recognize you needed and or wanted your father. We often fight so hard when we don't have something to convince ourselves we don't need it. And when we do that, we actually do more damage to ourselves. So one of the key takeaways is to stop lying to myself and say, listen, I wanted my father. I needed my father. That for me becomes the first place of healing for me, that I can say I wanted something that I didn't have. That's the first thing. The second thing is, a key takeaway is never to try to figure out why my father didn't do what I wanted him to do. We often forget that our parents had an entire life before they became our parents. They had a whole life before they became our parents. And we, as the children, were not privy to all that they went through. And often, especially depending on the culture and the age, you don't talk about the issues of your past. You don't talk about the trauma of your childhood. And so our parents went through some things that we don't know. And so here's another key takeaway that helped me to grow and to get over some of the pain. I had to embrace this saying. I say this saying all the time. My parents did the best they could with what they knew. Full stop. I don't add a comma. It's a full stop, period. That's it. I don't try to figure anything else out because there's things they're just not going to tell me. So they did the best they could with what they knew. So that's the next thing. The third and final thing is to determine what did I want. Now, this is a part that most people never do. I ask myself, okay, Tyrone, you didn't have a father. Check, we got that. You recognize that your father had a life and you just have to chuck it up to he did the best he could with what he knew. Check, I got that. Then I had to ask myself, what did I want? Here I am now looking back, what did I want? And so I said, well, one of the things I wanted was my father's time. I wanted my father to validate me. I wanted my father to protect me in every way possible. So guess what I decided to do? I became selfless and said, that's not what I got from my father, but that's what I'm going to give to my children. I'm going to give them what I wanted. And while I give them what I wanted, then they're going to be comfortable enough to tell me what they actually need. And that has been the change of my life, and I dare say my family tree, because I give my children time. I give them validation. I give them protection. And as I've given them the things that I didn't have, then they're comfortable saying, well, Daddy, you know what I really need is, you know what I really want is, and now there's this growth that's happening. I'm actually being fed because I get this amazing feeling of accomplishment that I have been able to be to my children what I didn't see in my own life. And that for me is the greatest reward. And I tell my children this, here's your responsibility to me. Your responsibility to me is to make sure you pass this to my grandchildren. I don't have any grandchildren. None of my children are married. They don't have any grandchildren, but I make sure this is important to me, that you pass it on generation after generation. We don't let fatherlessness define our family tree.
And then our next question, as we wrap this up, can you share us about your favorite hip hop artist?
Woo,
Very random.
That was a tough one because I'm a 90s baby when it comes to rap and the music. 80s, late 80s. Oh my Lord. I'd have to say, favorite rap artist? LL Cool J. It's got to be LL Cool J. LL Cool J he's my favorite rap artist. He grew up in Queens. I lived in Queens for a period of time. I went to high school in Queens. The high school he went to was the rival of our high school in Forest Hills, and I remember being on a train, the E train, going to Manhattan. And this is when he's just started getting big. He's still right out of high school, right in high school, and he's just started to get big. And he's on the train, and a bunch of us were on the train, and so he's got a bodyguard with him, and but he was really a cool guy, and so I think that made him from there my favorite rap artist, and the skills he has for his rap. When you listen to the stories he tells in his rap, it's phenomenal. I think he's one of the greatest of all time. Yeah.
I think if,
my biggest crush My biggest crush was MC Light. Oh my Lord, I was in love with MC Light. You hear me? You couldn't tell me that MC Light was not going to be my wife. I was in love with MC Light. But my favorite would be LL Cool J.
So for our second to the last question, what is Kwanzaa for you?
Kwanzaa for me is the roadmap for our people to the unity that we lost in the Middle Passage. That's what it is. It's the roadmap, how we get back to what our ancestors experienced, how they lived in unity and harmony, despite what Western history books tried to, the miseducation of our people. We were united, and when you look at the principles of Kwanzaa, if you think about it, if anyone, it doesn't matter, black, white, Filipino, anybody, puts these principles in action in their life, they'll have a better life. You put it in action in your business, you'll have a better business. You put it in action in your community, you'll have a better community. It's the roadmap back to our future, if I can say it that way. That's what it means to me.
So for our last question, what is Juneteenth for you?
Juneteenth, it has a happy and a sad connotation for me, both at the same time. It represents the hard-fought progress of African Americans toward freedom and equality, but it also at the same time represents the misuse of our people in the American landscape, that we would fight so hard to be free, then be free, and people remain in slavery because no one told them they were free. If I could put it this way, Juneteenth is the caricature of where I often feel like our people are, that we're free, but no one has really told us that we're free, that we don't need to do it the way everyone else does it, because that's freedom. And we don't have to follow the blueprint of everyone else because that's freedom. And we don't have to bow to what the culture says we should be because that's freedom. We have freedom of self-determination. And I just wish that my people as a whole could hold on to that and gravitate to it. When you think about rap, celebrating the 50th anniversary of hip hop, the reason that hip hop is what it is today is because the people who had the art had freedom and refused to allow anyone to put them in a box. And when the culture said, oh, this rap thing will last, it's a fad, it'll last for a year and it'll be over. Well, they were wrong because of freedom. So Juneteenth represents the best of what we can be. It really does for me, the best of what we can be.
So thank you for being here with us today. I look forward to seeing you next week. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and see you guys next week. Greetings, and good afternoon, Juneteenth family. Welcome to another weekly edition of our Luncheon Run.
E is exhaling, having an opportunity to breathe, to rest, to refill yourself and rejuvenate yourself because no one can pour from an empty cup.
As you evolve and become more of yourself, you begin to attract the people that are there for you.
Amen.
So everything you need is in this space.
You have to learn from your mistakes. Once you make a mistake, sit down, recoup, and then start over. And once you do that, you say, I got that.
See, Juneteenth means to me, I would definitely say empowerment and education.
When I experienced it, it's like just coming together and, being a part of something bigger than myself,
A new start, starting a new chapter, opportunity, new beginnings, all of that.